Last year, a third of Drake's roster was playing at the Division II level, and their coach was coaching at the Division II level. The result of that? A dominant 30-3 season this year, where they beat Vanderbilt and Kansas State during the regular season, and won both the Missouri Valley's regular season title and tournament title to lock up a spot in this year's tournament. Drake is a dangerous team that has the potential to go on a run and do special things in this year's tournament. This is the story of Drake basketball, the roster full of former Division II players that are dominating Division I basketball this year. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college sports content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know who you will be rooting for in this year's tournament in the comment section below. Before we get into how Drake found so much success this season, let's take a look on how they got here. Drake basketball began in 1907, and for the early part of their history, the program struggled. From 1907 to 1958, only 2 coaches left with winning records. Things all began to change under Maury John, who led Drake to a 211 and 131 record, and their first NCAA tournament in 1969, where they would lose to UCLA 85-82 in the Final Four, but beat North Carolina 104-84 in the third place game. The program had finally arrived, going toe-to-toe with Goliaths of the sport. It would make the Elite Eight in 1970 and 1971, losing to New Mexico State and Kansas in those respective years, and following the 1971 season, John would leave to take the Iowa State job. The Bulldogs' next 8 coaches would all leave with losing records, as the program fell off a cliff with the departure of John. They would go 37 years until they won a conference title again and returned to March Madness, though they did play in the 1975 NCIT, which they would win, and the 1981 as well as 1986 NIT, where they lost in the first round in both tournaments. After serving as an assistant from 2003 to 2007, Gino Davis would take over as head coach for the 2007-2008 season, where he led the Bulldogs on a magical run where they finished 28-5 and won both the Missouri Valley Conference regular season title and tournament title to return to March Madness for the first time since 1971. As the 5 seed, they would be upset by 12 seed Western Kentucky, 101-99 in overtime, and Davis would leave to take the Providence job following the season. Drake would go back to struggling after the departure of Davis, as they would miss the NCAA tournament for 13 straight years until the arrival of Darren DeVries. DeVries spent 17 years at Creighton before taking the Drake job and helped rebuild the program. In 2019, they would win the Missouri Valley regular season title, but would lose in the semifinals of the tournament to Northern Iowa, causing them to miss the NCAA tournament. Finally, in 2021, they returned to the NCAA tournament, beating Wichita State in the first 4, 53-52, earning their first NCAA tournament win in 50 years, but lost to USC in the first round a few days later. DeVries would lead them to back-to-back tournament appearances for the first time since their 3 straight appearances under John from 1969 to 71, with DeVries doing it in 2023 and 2024, where they would lose in the first round both times. Heading into the 2024-2025 season, there were a lot of changes for Drake basketball. DeVries would leave the school after 5 seasons to take the West Virginia coaching job, would be replaced by Ben McCollum, a name not many knew about unless you were a major Division II basketball fan. McCollum played basketball at Northwest Missouri State, where he would also start his coaching career as a graduate assistant in 2003. In 2005, he left to take the assistant coaching position at Emporia State before returning to Northwest Missouri State in 2009. Early on, the Bearcats would struggle, going 12-15 and 10-16 in his first 2 seasons, but after that, they would only miss the NCAA Division II NCAA tournament one more time over the next 13 seasons there. He put together a 395-91 record in 15 seasons, winning 4 national championships, making 12 NCAA tournament appearances, winning 12 MIAA regular season conference titles, and 8 conference tournament titles as well. He was known as a winner, joining a school that had gotten used to finding a lot of success recently. He was a 5-time Division II Coach of the Year, with ESPN's Fran Fraschilla speaking of McCollum's success, saying, "When somebody's doing something unique in coaching, I tend to pay attention. To watch what Northwest Missouri State has done in the last 10 or so years is remarkable. So I've definitely paid attention to Coach McCollum. They focused on the fundamentals, and that's what helped them become so dominant." Fraschilla went on to say, he would never be outcoached in any power conference in the country. Now recruiting is a different deal in the Big 12 and Big 10, but he seems to have figured out a way to find good players and develop good players. He was also always very loyal to his players, and they were loyal to him, as the Bearcats had one player transfer out from 2019 to 2022. McCollum was always in the conversation for bigger jobs, but would never take them, explaining, "As a coach, you have confidence in yourself to be able to pursue Division I opportunities. Can I be a good coach at that level? I think I can. But at Northwest, we get good crowds. People care about basketball. They care about the kids. It's a neat environment. Obviously, if the right job comes along, the right one comes along, but it hasn't at this point." That was until Drake came calling. McCollum, who is from Iowa and referred to the state as God's country, would return to his home state to take over the Bulldogs program. When McCollum took over, a majority of Drake's players had either graduated or transferred out, so he went right to working on building a roster. He would bring in Ben Sturtz, Daniel Abreu, Isaiah Jackson, and Mitch Miscari, all from Northwest Missouri State, choosing to bring in players he knew and trusted rather than go straight for the big-name transfer players. He believed in his guys, and they would pay it off. Heading into the season, Drake was picked to finish 5th in the Missouri Valley Conference, with Bradley being chosen as the favorites. Northern Iowa and Murray State also received first-place votes, and Illinois was the only other school chosen ahead of them. Kim and Yawu and Sturtz would be the only players on the team to receive preseason accolades, being named to the MVC Preseason All-Conference Third Team. Missouri Valley had 5 total coaching changes, including McCollum, meaning there was a lot of change in the conference. Drake would start off the season hot, going 3-0, beating York, Stephen F. Austin, and Florida Gulf Coast to start the season, allowing an average of 51 points in those games. They would play in the Shriners Children's Charleston Classic, going 3-0, beating Miami, FAU, and Vanderbilt, all by double digits to move to 6-0 on the season. They proceeded to finish non-conference play 10-0, beating Georgia Southern, Valparaiso in their conference opener, St. Ambrose, Kansas State in overtime 73-70, and Green Bay before opening up Missouri Valley play at home. They would win the conference home opener over Belmont 65-46, before losing their first matchup of the season to UIC on the road 74-70, and dropped the second game in a row to Murray State 66-59. During their 12-game win streak, Drake was earning votes to be in the AP poll, and people started to keep an eye on them. They proceeded to go on an 11-game win streak, beating Bradley, Evansville, Illinois State twice, Indiana State, Valparaiso, Missouri State, Northern Iowa, Southern Illinois, and Murray State, before falling to Bradley 61-59 at home. They closed out the regular season on a 4-game win streak, beating UIC, Northern Iowa, Evansville, and Missouri State to finish the regular season 27-3, win the Missouri Valley regular season title. McCollum was voted the conference's Coach of the Year, and Sturtz was named Player of the Year. Drake was not done yet, though, as the Missouri Valley usually only sends one team to the tournament every year, so although they had a great regular season, they still needed to win the conference tournament to play in March Madness. Drake would play suffocating defense throughout Arch Madness, beating Southern Illinois 70-53 in the quarterfinals, Belmont 57-50 in the semifinals, and Bradley 63-48 in the title game to lock up their 3rd straight March Madness bid and their 8th overall in school history. Sturtz went off in the title game, putting up 24 points as the Bulldogs cruised in the second half of that game. After the game, McCollum said, "It feels great. It's the result of a lot of great work. Filling out a roster of 12, hiring a great staff, getting kids, great players, and obviously, this is the result of a lot of those things." According to Joe Lenardi, Drake is projected to be an 11 seed in this year's tournament, and McCollum is now being mentioned for Big Ten job openings like Indiana after so much success in year 1 at Drake. But I would honestly be surprised if he decided to leave due to his belief in loyalty and his love for the state of Iowa. Drake is a dangerous team in this year's tournament and could go on a run. What do you think? How far does Drake go in the tournament? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.